Hi folks, so in this video what we're going to be doing is completing a question here based on the topic of orthographic projection, and the question here specifically comes from the Graphic Solutions workbook. Okay, so it says here, the figure shows the outline of a child's play tent. The main body of the tent is based on a square base pyramid, and it says the apex X has an altitude of 80. Okay. This question specifically also has to do with kind of doing curves on slopes. So you can see the curve section here and how it's interfering with the slope surface of the square base pyramid, okay? And that's going to be the challenging part in this question. Now when I'm doing these questions inside in class, I always get my students to work out their overall lengths, widths and heights. Now the overall length of the object in the direction of arrow A, because our length is associated with arrow A, the elevation, is 15 plus 40 plus we'll have 15 out on the other side because the object is symmetrical here. You'll see there obviously if this is 15 bit here, there's going to be 15 the other side. Now that adds up to 15, 40 and 15 adds up to 70. Okay, the overall width of the object is 70 and 15, which adds up to 85, and then they've told us that the height is 80 because that is the height of the apex. Okay, so setting up our drawing, we're now going to put in those. So starting off with an elevation up here, so we're going to do an XY line. So there's our XY line, and what we have to do is we have to position, I'll just write in X and Y. We have to position our elevation on the correct side of that. Arrow A is roughly pointing in the right hand side, so we're going to put our elevation over here. So I'm going to put in a length here. If you look at your length is 70. So I'm going to measure 70 millimeters from there to there. Keep it quite close because we have to fit another view over here. And then I'm going to make a box that is 80 high. So I'm going to do a line up, and I'm going to measure. I'm going to use my 10 as my marking point. So from the 10, I'm going up as far as 80. So that's up as far as the 80. Okay. And there's the elevation box. Everything is going to fit inside there for the elevation. Now I'm going to fit in the box for the end elevation. It's 85 wide. Keep a gap of about 1 centimeter between your views. And then from that little mark there, I'm going to measure 85 millimeters. So 0 to the 85. Okay. So that'll go up, up, and then this is going to transfer across. So now I've got the elevation, end elevation boxes. The plan always goes underneath the elevation. So from the elevation, I'm going to go at 45 degrees, transfer that information down. The width is now going to come down and down until it hits the 45 degree line, and then transfer across and across. And then bring this down and this down. Okay, so there we have it. Elevation, end elevation, and plan boxes met. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start applying the information from the sheet to the drawing. So if you look down here, when I'm looking in the direction of arrow A, I can see this face here. I can see these little rectangles at the side, and I'm going to see the triangle as well with the apex X. Now I want to locate the apex X. Now common sense will prevail here. It has to be in the middle. So if my overall length is 70, well then the middle half of 70 is going to be 35. So at the very, very tip top, just going to switch out. Measurements are fading there on my other one. So I'm going to measure in 35, and that's my apex. Just do a line down, just to have that ready. Center line there. Okay, long, short, long. Okay, there's my apex. I've got a height here at the side. What's the height? If we see here, it is 10. So I'm going to measure up 1 centimeter, 10 millimeters. So measure up to 10. Do a line across. And at this point here, we can see it clearly connects up to X, which is our apex. And we would have X up here. So I'm going to connect that up there. So that is connected. That's connected. Okay. So there we have our kind of, I suppose, our rectangular base. And then we've got the triangle. Now we're missing this information here, which is kind of like the door bit going in. So how wide is that? I have to measure in 15 plus 40. Okay. So I'm going to measure in 15 millimeters. From the edge, so there's my 15, and then an additional 40 after that, so 4 back to 0, and 20 is right in the middle. So my center point is going to be up along there. Now I'm going to do a vertical line, just up a little bit, another vertical line. Okay, so that's those two lines going up. How high do they go up? Okay, they go up a height of 25. So now I'm going to measure up 25 from the XY line. So from the XY line, 25 up, brings me right to there. Do a line across. Okay, and that there is going to be, right there is going to be my center point. Okay, and the radius is going to be radius 20. So now all I do is, on my sheet, put my compass here, pencil here. I'd always check it on the other side that it's matching up. There we go. My lead isn't the best. There we go. And there is my semicircle. Okay, so that is the elevation complete. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to heavy it in, just so you can see it a little bit better on your screen there. So I'm going to heavy in my views. So that's all heavy along the bottom. This bit here is heavy as far as there and there. Heavy in my vertical lines. So this bit here, that's kind of like the door frame. Okay. Heavy in the sloping lines that represent the front face of the pyramid. Okay, and then finally heavy in my curve. So that is our elevation completed. At the start I did construction lines. So I'm going to check this once again that I'm hitting all those right places. Yep, happy with that. So there we go. Okay, there is the elevation completed. Now we're on to the end elevation, which is when we look at it in the direction of ROB. When I look in the direction of ROB, I'll see this face, I'll see the sloping face, and I will see this portion, okay, here at the side jutting out. So heights can come across, this can come across, this guy can come across, and this one, the very tip top of the circle. Okay, now what I need to find is put in my widths, 70 and 15, reading from right to left. So I'm going to measure 70 millimeters to here. That gets me as far as this point. I'm going to do a line up. And once again, what's half of 70? I have to find the apex. That is going to be 35. So I'm going to measure 35 into the middle. So 35 goes in. And do that line up. That's my apex. That connects down to there. And connects down to here. Okay, so there we have it. There's our end elevation. It is complete. Once again, just going to heavy in my details. Okay, and then heavying in this information here. This little bit here now. We'll go in as far as there, and then we're going to heavy in the sloping surfaces. So one sloping surface here, and the other one here. So there is our other sloping surface. So there is our elevation, end elevation completed. Now, just to highlight some of these, you can see here that they have a heavy line here. Now, in my opinion, that is a surface here that is vertically upright and it goes into a curved surface. So really, there's actually no edge there. That's just a computer-generated model, and sometimes the computer picks up these lines. So that line there actually would not be heavy in reality. Okay. Now what we have to do is we have to move on to the plan. Now I'm going to start the plan, and I'm going to start off by drawing in the pyramid. So I'm going to see the four faces looking down on top of it, these four sloping triangular faces, and then obviously there's going to be a curve at the front that we have to figure out, and we'll see this face here. So any information I have in my views, I need to bring them around. So from the end elevation, this line will come down, the apex will also come down. Okay, I'm going to bring this across. This guy should come across. Okay, now for my guy here, this guy should really go like that and like that. Hopefully my accuracy is quite good here, and it seems to be. There we go. That's what my pyramid looks like when I'm looking down on top of it. Now I'm going to bring this length down and length down. Now I'm going to heavy in as much information as I can. This bit here is the bit that's jutting out at the front. That will just go as far as there. Heavy in this bit here at the back. as I'm looking down on top of it, I'm going to see those lines here now, which are going to represent sloping surfaces of those triangular faces for the pyramid. Okay, that's what I'm going to see there. Just to bring this in here and this in here, and there we go. Now that is as much of my plan as I can complete at this moment in time. This line here is this line, and it's the same at the opposite side as that one. And then as I look down on top of it, this bit here is actually the curve. It's curving there. Okay, but when I'm looking down on top of it from a bird's eye view, I'll see that as a straight line. Now what we need to figure out is how far in, okay, essentially, where are we going to start our curve? And a curve isn't necessarily going to start right here and go in like this. Okay, so what we actually have here is we have a straight line here, and then it starts to curve. So I actually have to get that straight line first. Now that's the bit here that I was saying previously where I didn't heavy in this line. But this point here, where this line came across, where we see this point here, I'm going to transfer that down, and I'm going to bring it across. Now that's actually going to tell me how far I can heavy it in before it starts to curve. So that's going to go in there nice and straight like that, and then we're going to have a curved arc here. So how do I get that? So what we do is we find the view where we see the curved surface as a perfect semicircle, which is technically view A. We're going to split that up into 30, 60 degrees. 30 degrees to the left, 30 degrees to the right, 60 degrees to the right, 60 degrees to the left. I'll just put in my vertical line as well. Okay, now I'm going to use labels. Okay, I'm just going to switch out here to a little fine liner. Just be a bit easier for you to see on the screen. So, if I label this point number 1, this one is number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So 1 to 7. Now I need to find 1 to 7 in all the views. The next view I need to find them in is in this view, the end elevation. So 1 to 7 will come across. There's 1 and 7, 2 and 6, 3 and 5. So if I was to label them over here in the end elevation, well, 1 and 7 will be here, okay? But because I'm looking in, so I'm actually going to see 7 here, and 1 will be on this side. Then I'm going to see 6 here with 2 on the inside. Then I've got 5 with 3 on the inside, and then we've got 4 at the top. Okay, so I've now found all those points in the end elevation. I can now transfer them down. So 6 and 2 will come down, 3 and 5 will come down, point number 4 will also come down. Okay, when they come down and hit the 45 degree line, I'm now going to bring them across. Okay, and they're going to be somewhere along here. Now what I have to do from the elevation is bring them down. But before I do that, I can find 1 and 7. So look, 1 has to be down along this line here. Okay, so it's along this line, which is where my pen is at. And if I follow 1 down and across, well then, that's number 1. And 7 is going to be at the opposite side. Okay, so I have to do that the same for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if I want to find 2, well 2 is along this line. So you can see the line is the one above the 1 and the 7. So if I follow 2 down, that's where 2 is. And I could find 6 at the same time because it's on the same line. Okay, and that's where 6 is. So I've now found 2 and 6. I have to do the exact same then for 3 and 5. So 3 and 5 is along this line. The lines are getting closer, so you have to take your time with this. Now bring 3 down and 5 down. And we can find 3 and 5. And finally, the last one, number 4 is at the very tip top. 4 will come down. And there's 4 at the top. And now we've got the points in our curve. All we have to do is we freehand sketch in the curve. So it goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, 6 and 7. And after you sketch it in, obviously try and go as smoothly as you can through the points then. There we go. Okay, now last thing you would always check for in any question then, is there any hidden detail? And looking at this object here, no, I don't think there is any hidden detail in view A, view B. No, I don't think there's any hidden detail in this object. So that's the question done there, guys. Okay, I hope you found it helpful. That's the question done. Nice little understanding there of how we incorporate slopes onto curved surfaces. Okay, you'll always have to break it up into 30, 60 degrees. Okay, hope you found it helpful, guys.